Knee injuries are not random. They are a sign of poor preparation. Let me explain. Over 70% of knee injuries happen in deceleration, cutting, or landing. This means that if we increase our deceleration ability, the level of knee injuries is going to come down. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why we are having all of these knee injuries and then give you standards for actually increasing your deceleration ability and therefore increasing your knee protection. So I believe that we are manufacturing injuries. And the reason that I believe this is because of the stats I just said. Non-contact knee injuries, non-contact ACL tears are happening in deceleration, cutting, and landing. If the force that we are producing through our muscles, which is what we're primarily training in the gym, the traditional paradigm of training, is much higher than our ability to actually decelerate and absorb that force, then there's no wonder why we are having these stats. 1 out of 5 people retire from football because of knee injuries. And you do hear about the odd hip injury, you hear about the things that are a little bit different, but the majority of injuries are coming from the ankle and the knee in a sport like football. But there is a pain and knee injury epidemic in general. So our ability to decelerate, our ability to rebound force is really what we need to be in the gym to be able to be available, because the best ability is availability. And so if we can play our sport we're going to get better at the sport. And so yes, we do need to increase power, but we don't need to increase power on a body that can't handle that power, because then we're going to come up with these injuries. Standards that I'm going to give you today that we want to work to over time are going to be able to help you be able to get to this level of deceleration ability that you can actually feel like you are protected, feel like you are able to handle those forces that you're producing. Take these exercises over a long period of time and work up to these standards in which I'm going to give you and see how you feel. See if you are still dealing with knee injuries. See if you are still fearing future knee injuries. So the first standard that we have is 6-inch pull step up, 50% of body weight, 10D10. And what 10D10 means is 10 sets of 10 reps every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. And so these standards that I'm going through today are not going to be easy, but they are a standard over time. You do not get your dream bodybuilding physique in just a year or two of training. You get it within 5-10 years of training. And so the way that we need to think about this type of training is the same, if not longer, because we're actually training the connective tissue at the same time as the muscle, which takes longer to adapt. And so with the Poliquin step up, the form really matters. Start on flat ground with your heel elevated. Even if that causes pain, use assistance of the body to take some load off that knee. If that is still causing some issues, use floss band. And then over time, work your way up with height and load. The higher you go, is going to be more stress on that connective tissue in comparison to the load. I would personally increase height a little bit, so go from flat ground to then 2 inches, and then at 2 inches, build the load up a little bit. Maybe to build the load up to starting with 1.25 kg in each hand, 2.5 kg in each hand, 5 kg in each hand, 10 kg in each hand, and then probably once you get to about half body weight, move up to the next height. So maybe move up to 4 inches with the slide. See if you can do body weight on that, or even assistance, and then work your way from assistance to body weight, and then to 1.25 kg, and build this up again. Then eventually get to 6 inches, and then build that up again. Again, this is going to be a process over a long period of time, but this is the exact knee angle in which the majority of knee injuries happen, this 0 to 30 degrees, where the majority of these ACL tears are happening. And so if we are building strength in the front of the knee here, in something like a Poliquin step up, it's going to completely change your knee health, your knee protection, your life. It's called the $1 Million Knee Exercise for a reason. It was named this by Charles Poliquin, one of the most successful strength coaches of all time, because it went on to help Olympic athletes to win gold medals and win millions in prize money. And so if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. Second standard then is the Nordic curl. Like I said, this 0 to 30 degree angle is so important for the knee. The Poliquin step up is for the front of the knee. The Nordic curl is for the back of the knee. And when I say train to be able to get to this point where you can do full Nordic reps, the standard is 5 completely controlled reps. It means work to it over time. So maybe don't start with the Nordic, or maybe start with a very regressed version where your hips are very elevated, or start on the lying leg curl, which is the same function just in the short range. And so if you get strong in this, it's going to transfer to the Nordic over time, and maybe even build your elephant walks at the same time so you can handle that length in the back of the knee. It took me 1.5 years, I think, to get my first rep on a Nordic curl. So it really does take time. There is a quicker way of doing it. Probably 6 to 9 months if they train with me, I'd be able to get them a Nordic. But it definitely depends on how much you weigh. It depends on how much strength you've built there before. It depends on a lot of factors. And so slowly build that over time. This Nordic curl, it is hardest in this end range of motion, this 0 to 30 degrees. And Charles Poliquin, again, Ben's mentor and someone that we really look to when it comes to this kind of bulletproofing standards, said that knee flexion it's like the second ACL. If we look at the Nordic curl, it's hardest in the 0 to 30 degree angle where this ACL tears. It's only right to think, okay, this is a very good measurement of how strong we are in this knee angle, especially in deceleration, because eccentric hamstring strength is super crucial in deceleration. So that's our second standard, the Nordic curl, which we build to over time. Third standard then, so these are the three big ones really. First we have the polygon step up, next we have the Nordic curl, third we have a full range of motion controlled slant squat. And the standard for this over a long period of time is 150% of body weight. Fully controlled, at least 1 rep. That means 3-second eccentric, pausing in the bottom for a second, and then coming back up. Really owning that bottom position. This is going to build our connective tissue more, this is going to build our VMO more, which is the first muscle to contract when the knee is under pressure. Building to this point of 150% body weight on a slant squat is really good standards. Again, this completely regresses, so if that is extreme, like some of you might not need to get to that standard, but it's a standard for those people that really do want to properly bulletproof, and it's a standard that I have personally hit. But this regresses to everyone. Like my mum, my nan could do the very lowest levels of this. They could do assistance of the body. They could put 2 chairs next to them, take off their body weight and lower. They could even do it inside a pool. Obviously, it's probably going to be pretty hard to get that slam board in there, but it's more of the fact of like we regress range and we regress load. And so those are the two things. Then floss bands can even help as well get into deep range of motion without this pain, without this kind of fear of getting down in there. So we work from, again, assisted to counterbalanced, which helps us to be able to get deeper and take some of the stress off the knee, then to just body weight, then to a kettlebell or a dumbbell holding in front of us, and then eventually to a barbell. And this can either be on the front, on the back, or even it can be a hex bar, which is on the floor and you're gripping it with your wrist. The setup on that's a little bit trickier. But then I find the back squat is very hard for some people. So the hex bar is probably an easier version because you're just picking something up off the ground. I spoke to a strength coach who used to coach for Watford, and he said that the most I'd ever seen anyone squat was Tom Cleverley, and it was half range of motion, it was 60 kg. Even in the highest levels, like, we don't understand this. Charles Poliquin said we were 20 years behind in football when it comes to strength coaching. So this is what we're trying to bring to not just the footballing world, but the UK in general. This is probably the most common one that I see out of all of the exercises I do, is like a deep squat, but it's still very rare in the gym. ATG split squats I've maybe seen once in the gym. Tib raises I've never seen anyone do. Nordic curls I've never seen anyone do in the gym. Poliquin step ups I've never seen anyone do in the gym. And so we have a long way to go for people to actually adapt to this. It's going to take 5 to 10 years of education and me getting out these videos, and step by step we will slowly get there. Of course, those are the 3 big ones. I want to add a single leg tib raise with 10% of body weight, dumbbell attached to the foot with a floss band for 20 reps. It can be a bit tedious, but it's very important. This is the first muscle that is under extreme force when we are decelerating. As soon as we slam that heel and we lower our toes, that is tibialis. And so if this is weak, forces could go elsewhere. Second then is KOT calf raise. This is going to help train the gastroc and particularly the soleus even more and get those stronger, which is again super crucial for these type of deceleration movements. And so the standard there is single leg 50% of body weight. The tib raise is super easy to progress. All you need to do is take the load right down and then slowly progress that over time. With the KOD calf raise, you can go from 2 legs and assistance with the wall to eventually 1 leg to then loaded. And so these are our strength standards, but obviously strength is different to faster forces. And so after you get to all these standards in the strength training, we do need to start to add some faster forces. And I will make another video breaking down the faster forces in deceleration. So I hope this video helps. If you do want a free knee program that will start increasing your knee protection, be the first line in the description down below.